The cruelest thing my wife ever did was smile in my face while humiliating me behind my back, then mock me for trusting her. Here's how it happened, and why it broke me before it rebuilt me. I am a black man from Prince George's County, Maryland, and until this marriage collapsed, I believed loyalty was armor. My wife Nia told me she was working late, building our future, climbing her corporate ladder. Instead, she was dismantling our marriage piece by piece, enjoying my patience like it was proof she'd won something. I didn't know yet that patience could sharpen into strategy. Before the lies, we were actually happy in a quiet black love way that doesn't show off online. Sunday mornings in Bowie meant jazz playing low, pancakes shaped wrong, and Nia stealing bacon straight off the skillet. She used to hug me from behind, whispering plans about trips we'd never taken yet. We laughed a lot, especially at how bad I danced in socks on hardwood floors. Even now, I remember how she'd rest her head on my chest during movies and swear I was her safe place. That memory hurt the most later because it proved she knew how to love before choosing not to. Things changed when she got promoted at her firm in Washington, D.C. Suddenly, everything was urgent. Emails during dinner, calls during bedtime stories with our son. Late nights, she blamed on clients who supposedly needed her brilliance. I supported her without question. I bragged about her to coworkers. I stepped up more at home, thinking real partnership meant sacrifice. I didn't notice the subtle disrespect creeping in, the way her jokes started landing sharper. When I'd ask how work went, she'd smirk and say, "You wouldn't get it." That sentence was small, but it was the first crack I ignored. The late nights became patterns. Tuesdays and Thursdays disappeared. Saturdays, too. She'd leave dressed too carefully for overtime, perfume heavier than usual. When I teased her about looking cute for spreadsheets, she rolled her eyes like I was childish. One night, while tying my shoes, I accidentally knocked her phone off the counter. A message lit up before she snatched it back. I didn't see words, just a heart emoji and a name I didn't recognize. She laughed at my pause and said, "Relax. It's work." Then she kissed my cheek like she'd trained for that exact moment, confident I'd swallowed doubt. What hurt wasn't suspicion, it was isolation. Her family shifted first. Her sister started talking to me like I was fragile. Her mother hinted I needed to step my game up. At church, whispers replaced greetings. Somehow, without me knowing how, I'd been cast as inadequate. Nia never defended me. She watched it happen like an experiment. If I brought it up, she accused me of insecurity, calling it unattractive. Once, during an argument, she laughed and said, "You're lucky I put up with you." I remember standing there wondering how love turned into charity in her mouth. The humiliation escalated. She stopped hiding her phone, letting it buzz loudly during dinner, smiling to herself while I sat across from her. Once, she answered a call in the driveway instead of inside. I heard her laugh through the open window. Real laughter, not the polite kind she used with me lately. When she came back in, I asked who it was. She shrugged. "Someone who listens." Then she brushed past me, shoulder-checking me in my own hallway. I didn't yell. I didn't chase. I just felt something shut down inside, like a breaker flipping to protect the rest of the house. Still, there were moments I clung to, small flashes of the woman I married. One night, she fell asleep on the couch, head on my lap, scrolling through old photos of us. She smiled sadly and said, "We were cute." I almost asked if we still were. Instead, I joked, "Still am." She laughed softly, and for a moment we felt like us. That false peace messed with my head more than cruelty ever could. Hope is dangerous when someone's already half gone. That night, I didn't sleep. I knew clarity was coming, and it wasn't going to be gentle. The breaking point came at 2:11 a.m. She stumbled in smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, confidence dripping off her like rain. I asked where she'd been, not angry, just tired. She looked at me, smiled slow, and said, "Working. What you think? I sit around waiting to be your wife." The cruelty was casual, like she'd rehearsed it. I felt embarrassed standing there in sweatpants while she weaponized independence to excuse betrayal. That sentence killed something sacred. Not love, not anger, illusion. I realized she didn't respect me enough to lie gently anymore. That changed everything quietly. From that moment, I stopped reacting and started observing. Pain sharpened my focus. I noticed patterns, schedules, expenses. I stopped asking questions she'd twist into insults. Instead, I wrote things down. Dates, times, hotel charges marked as meals, rideshare receipts logged at odd hours in Tyson's corner. I didn't confront her because I finally understood something dangerous. People without remorse always underestimate silence. Meanwhile, she grew bolder, openly dismissive, almost daring me to do something. She didn't realize patience had turned into planning. Every smile from her now felt like she was feeding me rope, not knowing I was weaving it. There was dark humor in it, too. She once accused me of being boring while wearing sneakers I bought her. Another time, she said real men take risks while standing in a house my boring paycheck paid for. I laughed to myself more than once, because arrogance makes people sloppy. She didn't see me downloading statements, securing documents, or scheduling consultations during lunch breaks. To her, I was already defeated. At home, I was still a father, still cooking, still present. That normalcy disarmed her. She thought she'd broken me. Instead, she gave me the calm needed to outthink someone convinced power meant control. The lawyer's office in Silver Spring was quiet, almost comforting. No dramatic music, no speeches. Just facts. He reviewed what I brought and nodded slowly, especially at the loan paperwork. My name signed electronically on something I never agreed to. This matters, he said plainly. I felt anger then, sharp and justified. She hadn't just cheated, she'd risked my future. Still, I kept my composure. He explained options. Timing. Strategy. If you confront her now, he warned, she'll destroy evidence. I left knowing patience wasn't weakness anymore. It was leverage, and I intended to use it responsibly. At home, she escalated. Posted cryptic quotes about freedom. Took selfies at Navy Yard bars with coworkers. Caption 1, finally free, while I folded our son's laundry. When she came home that night, she didn't even pretend. She told me I should have known she needed more. Called me embarrassing for expecting loyalty. Tried to provoke tears. I surprised her by calmly saying, okay. No argument. No begging. Her confidence flickered for half a second. People like her needed reactions. Silence denied her performance. That was when I knew she'd already underestimated me. She mistook gentleness for stupidity, and that miscalculation would cost her quietly. The irony was how normal our life looked from the outside. School drop-offs, grocery runs, shared calendars. At night, she slept peacefully while I lay awake rebuilding my self-respect brick by brick. I thought about my parents, about pride, without cruelty. I decided I wouldn't win by destroying her, only by refusing to lose myself. That realization felt romantic in a strange way, falling back in love with my own integrity. I started running early mornings, breathing cold Maryland air, reminding myself I survived worse than betrayal. Every mile strengthened something she couldn't touch. She still thought the house belonged to her confidence. It didn't. Then came the audit at her firm. She didn't tell me directly. I overheard her panic call through a cracked door. Expense reports. Missing receipts. Internal review. She brushed it off later like it was nothing. But I saw fear crawling under her bravado. Still no remorse. Only self-preservation. She doubled down on contempt, snapping at me for breathing wrong. I stayed calm, already 2 steps ahead legally. When she accused me of waiting to see her fail, I almost laughed. I wasn't wishing anything on her. I was simply letting consequences move at their own professional pace. Karma doesn't rush, it documents. By the time papers were ready, she was unraveling but still cruel. When she lost her job, she blamed coworkers, politics, everyone except herself. Her affair ended instantly once it threatened the man involved. He disappeared. She came home furious, pride intact, remorse absent. That was the moment she truly stood alone, though she didn't realize it yet. I filed first, cleanly, quietly. When she finally understood I'd protected myself, our son, and my future, the shock was almost comical. She thought power meant humiliation. She never saw preparation coming. And this was only the end of the middle, not the end of the lesson. When she realized the locks were changed, her confidence cracked but never softened. She didn't apologize, didn't ask about our son, didn't reflect. She called me petty through clenched teeth and said I was scared to face her. I calmly told her all communication should go through attorneys. That angered her more than yelling ever could. She stormed off, phone already in hand, likely searching for sympathy. None came that stuck. Meanwhile, I felt light for the first time in years. Not happy yet, but lighter. I cooked dinner alone, burned the rice, laughed out loud, and realized peace didn't need witnesses to be real. Single parenting wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. Mornings meant braiding my son's hair badly and blaming YouTube tutorials. Evenings meant homework battles and laughter over cartoons. There was romance and routine again. I stopped overthinking silence and started enjoying it. Therapy helped untangle guilt I didn't deserve. My therapist said something that stayed with me. You didn't lose a marriage. You exited a performance where you were cast as the fool. That reframing healed me more than anger ever could. I wasn't defeated. I was freed. Quietly rebuilding felt romantic in its own way, like falling in love with stability, patience, and myself again. Nia's world shrank quickly. Friends distanced themselves once drama outweighed benefits. Her family stopped calling when legal realities settled in. Still, she never showed remorse. She told anyone listening that I was controlling, bitter, weak. I let her talk. People eventually notice patterns, especially when stories keep changing. Meanwhile, I focused on my job, my health, and my son. I didn't post vague quotes or seek validation. My victories happened in spreadsheets, bedtime routines, and early morning runs. Success felt better when it didn't need defending. I wasn't trying to look healed. I was actually healing, which turned out to be far more effective than revenge fantasies ever were. Months later, something oddly funny happened. I ran into her at Target in Bowie. She looked surprised, tired, still defiant. Tried to size me up like before. But I smiled politely and kept it moving. No tension, no bitterness. That unsettled her. She wanted power, not closure. I'd already closed the door quietly. Later that week, I finalized a promotion I'd been working toward for years. Nothing flashy, just better hours, better pay, better peace. I didn't announce it. I celebrated with my son at a diner, teaching him how to stack pancakes properly. That joy felt earned. No humiliation required. There was romance again, too, slow, careful, respectful. I met someone through a mutual friend, also black, also grounded, also allergic to chaos. We took things easy. Coffee dates, walks, real conversations. I didn't trauma dump or play victim. She liked that. She once said, "You seem settled." I realized that was my new love language. Meanwhile, Nia cycled through instability, blaming everyone but herself. The difference between us wasn't luck. It was accountability. I never needed her downfall to rise. I just needed consistency. And consistency, repeated daily, rebuild a life she could never touch again. Eventually, karma finished paperwork where emotions failed. The forged loan, the falsified expenses, the timeline. Everything lined up too cleanly to ignore. Legal consequences followed, not dramatic, just real. Payments, restrictions, a reputation quietly altered. No courtroom theatrics, just accountability. Still no remorse from her, only anger at being done wrong. Watching from a distance taught me something vital. Punishment without reflection doesn't redeem, it reveals. She remained exactly who she was when she smiled while hurting me. I didn't need her apology to move forward. Closure came from protecting my future, not repairing her character. Some lessons aren't learned. They're lived with permanently. Humor returned fully when I realized I was laughing more than sighing. I joked with coworkers again, sang badly in the car, felt romance in ordinary moments, fresh sheets, clean kitchens, uninterrupted sleep. I stopped checking her social media and stopped wondering if justice was noticed. Justice had. It just didn't need my supervision. One night, while helping my son study spelling words, he said, "Daddy, are you happy now?" I paused, then said yes. He smiled like that answered something important. That was the only validation I needed. Healing didn't require applause. It required showing up consistently and refusing to let bitterness raise my child in my place. Looking back, the humiliation was intentional. She needed me small to feel tall. But self-respect doesn't announce itself. It demonstrates quietly. I never outsmarted her by trickery, only by staying disciplined while she spiraled. I didn't mirror cruelty or gloat. I chose dignity, which confused her more than confrontation ever could. People like her expect rage or collapse. They don't expect quiet efficiency. That was my comeback, protecting my peace, my son, and my future without theatrics. I didn't win her back. I won myself back. And that victory aged better than any argument we'd ever had under our old roof. There's a strange romance in watching storms pass without chasing them. I learned to love steadily again, not desperately, to build privately, not perform publicly. Nia's downfall wasn't my entertainment. My growth was. Her lack of remorse froze her in place. My accountability moved me forward. That contrast was the real karma. Not revenge, not shame, stagnation versus progress. I slept soundly knowing I handled pain without becoming ugly. I handled betrayal without betraying myself. That matters when raising a son who's watching how men respond to disrespect. I showed him strength isn't volume. It's direction, and mine finally faced somewhere healthy. Years from now, people may tell different versions of this story. Some will call it divorce drama. Others will simplify betrayal as mutual failure. I don't correct them. Truth doesn't need campaigning. I know what happened. I know who stayed kind when kindness wasn't rewarded. I know who stayed cruel even when consequences arrived. That clarity keeps me grounded. Karma wasn't a spectacle. It was alignment. Everybody ended up where their habits led them. She chased validation and found instability. I chased peace and found sustainability. That's not poetic justice. It's predictable math. And math doesn't lie just because feelings want it to. If there's humor, it's in how ordinary the ending became. No grand apology. No dramatic reunion. Just life continuing, improved. I still make bad pancakes sometimes. Still dance poorly in socks. But now nobody mocks me for it. Love doesn't humiliate. It participates. The romance returned when I stopped begging for respect and started requiring it. I don't hate her. I don't miss her. I understand her. And understanding replaced resentment. Some people are lessons, not lifetimes. Knowing when to graduate saved me years. That realization brought joy back faster than anger ever could have. Peace proved addictive, and I protected it fiercely ever since. The funniest part might be this. She once told me I'd never do better without her. She genuinely believed that. But better wasn't another person. It was a better version of me. Healthier boundaries, clear values, quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't brag. I outgrew the need to prove anything. That growth scared people stuck in performance mode. They mistake silence for weakness and calm for defeat. I let them. I know who paid bills while being mocked, who loved faithfully while being underestimated. History records effort, not insults. And effort, repeated consistently, compounds. I didn't level up to impress her. I leveled up because staying the same hurt too much. Romance now feels safe, playful, mutual. No power games, no scoreboard. I laugh easier, trust slower, love smarter. That balance changed everything. I don't punish new love for old wounds, but I honor lessons learned. Boundaries are romantic. Honesty is attractive. Peace is addictive. I wish I learned that earlier, but timing matters. Pain prepared me for clarity. Watching karma work quietly taught me patience beats drama. When people mistreat you without remorse, exit gracefully and let life finish the conversation. It always does. I didn't need closure from her to move on. Closure came when my days stopped revolving around someone else's chaos. The moral isn't that cheaters always suffer publicly or villains always apologize. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they stay proud and bitter. And that itself is consequence. Growth refuses to join them there. Success isn't visibility, it's stability. Healing doesn't announce itself. it shows up consistently. I learned that dignity outperforms rage long-term. Silence terrifies people who rely on control. If you're suffering quietly while being underestimated, understand this. Preparation feels boring until it wins. Stay steady. Document. Protect yourself. Choose peace even when pride begs you to explode. Karma prefers patience. And patience, weaponized correctly, never misses its target. So yes, my wife said she was working late, and the truth changed our marriage forever. But also changed me. I lost a partner who didn't respect loyalty and gained a life defined by calm, direction, and self-trust. She never showed remorse. I never needed it. I didn't heal loudly or prove myself publicly. I rebuilt privately and successfully. The lesson is simple and unromantic. Love should never humiliate you, and silence can be strategic. Sometimes the strongest comeback is living well, quietly, beyond the reach of those who mistook your patience for weakness. I didn't just survive betrayal. I outgrew it, and that ended the story exactly how it deserved. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.